We are not here to beg, we are here to build. And the builders of this new Africa are the youth. For too long, our young people have been told to wait. Wait for jobs, wait for peace, wait for foreign aid. But I say this, the time of waiting is over. The youth of Burkina Faso and all of Africa are not the future. They are the now. We are reclaiming our land, our pride, and our destiny. And we will not ask permission to do it. If we must farm, we farm. If we must defend, we defend. If we must lead, we lead. And we do it not for Europe, not for America, but for Africa. We are done with imported dreams. Our revolution is born from our soil, our people, our struggle. That is why the youth are standing up in Ouagadougou, in Bamako, in Niamey. They have found their voice. They have found their fight. If our ancestors resisted with spears, what excuse do we have with smartphones, knowledge, and millions of strong hearts? I don't want to be remembered as a president. I want to be remembered as a servant of the people who stood with the youth and said, Africa must rise, and it begins here.
Burkina Faso's young president, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, is more than a president now. He's a symbol, a voice, and a movement for African youth on the continent. At a time when young people are feeling silenced, ignored, or forgotten, Traoré is speaking up and directly addressing them. Not with empty rhetoric, but with a consciousness that demonstrates he gets them and their pain, their hopes, and their potential. At only 34 when he came to power in 2022, he immediately resonated with the youths of Burkina Faso, not only due to his youth, but due to his message. Africa should rise, and the young people must take charge. In contrast to the creaky old political establishment who tended to patronize young people, Traoré addressed them, in their terms, with passion, urgency, and vision. His speeches aren't smooth PR talking points. They're raw, incendiary, and with a passionate conviction that Africans are capable of fixing African problems. This is why in markets, in the social media streets, in schools, and even in rural villages, young people chant his name, wear his image, and follow his leadership with growing belief. One of the primary reasons why Captain Traoré resonates so broadly with African youth is that he's flipping the script on what leadership means. Rather than begging foreign nations for help or complaining about someone else, Traoré has asked his own citizens, particularly youth, to rise up and construct. He has informed them that Burkina Faso can feed itself, protect itself, and stand on its own 2 feet. And on a continent where foreign influence still remains in economics, military intervention, and politics, such a message is revolutionary. Young people are fed up with watching their leaders genuflect before erstwhile colonial masters or depend perpetually on donations. When Traoré asked French troops to vacate Burkina Faso and asserted sovereignty, it was not so much a political gesture. It was a message. We are no longer anyone's colony. That one choice ignited a fire in young people, not only in Burkina Faso, but in Mali, Niger, Chad, and in the wider world. He was a symbol of a new type of African leader. Fearless, uncompromising, and youth-oriented, Traoré has also empowered young people through action. One such large initiative is the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland, VDP, in which citizens, including many young men and women, are trained to protect their communities from terror attacks. In a nation that had been destabilized by insecurity from the north and east, this provided young people with not only weapons, but also a purpose. For once, they weren't looking for a distant government to rescue them. They were being called upon to be the guardians of their own communities. Of course, this program caused international concern about training, accountability, and human rights. But to most young Burkinabe, it did something no one else did for them: instilled trust. Traoré trusted them to defend the country, and in return, they trusted him as a leader who was worth their support. Education and agriculture are also at the heart of his attraction. Traoré has publicly made the appeal to return to farming, asking young people to reclaim the land and raise the future. In a world where most youth pursue urban dreams or escape to Europe, his appeal to the land may sound retrograde. But he does not image farming as poverty. He images it as power. He contends that food sovereignty is liberty, and that if Africa produces its own food, then it doesn't have to rely on the West. Schools are being reformed according to his vision, too, with an emphasis on patriotism, self-sufficiency, and African history, educating children not only on how to pass exams, but how to critically consider who they are and where they're going. These shifts will take years to entirely yield results, but the course is set. Traoré intends to bring up a generation that knows what they are and has faith in what they can accomplish. Social media has hugely contributed to the dissemination of Traoré's image throughout Africa. Social networks such as TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook are not empty of his speech's videos, young adults walking with his picture, and hashtags acknowledging his courage. In contrast to older African leaders who appear detached from the age of the digital, Traoré's ascension stems from the world online, where young people are the key players. They mash up his speeches into songs, they create artwork in his name, they don t-shirts bearing his image, and they reference him as a contemporary freedom fighter. Others liken him even to Thomas Sankara, the mythical revolutionary who previously ruled Burkina Faso in the 1980s, and who, as Traoré, was young, anti-imperialist, and fiery. Whether Traoré meets that reputation or not, the comparison itself demonstrates the emotional resonance he has with the youth of today. However, Traoré's ascension is controversial. Some critics say he is yet to hold elections and that the military's hold on power is very troubling regarding democracy and human rights. Others are concerned that while his orations are compelling, they need to be supported by sustained policy reforms and stability. Yet, among the young people, many view him not as an ideal leader, but as one they needed, a disruptor in a system that was not working for them. And occasionally, when a house is crumbling, it will take a radical voice to yell loud enough for folks to notice and begin to rebuild. That's what Traoré has accomplished. He has compelled the discourse to change. He has made impossible the ability to disregard the youth. He has made fashionable, even revolutionary, believing in Africa once more. Youth movements across the continent have begun to echo his rhetoric. In Niger, Mali, and even within some regions of Ghana and Nigeria, young activists cite Traoré as a source of African pride and resistance. They view him as a man who declined to become a puppet, a man who said no when it was simpler to utter yes, a man who does not dress in a suit and speak in diplomatic jargon, but dressed in military camouflage and spoke from the heart. That sort of authenticity is a political rarity, and young people know it when they see it. Whether authentic or calculated doesn't even matter to many of them. In a world where youth are often treated as numbers in unemployment stats or tools for political campaigns, Traoré treats them like partners in revolution that in towns and villages. You'll hear teenagers say, Traoré is for us. In universities, students write essays about him. In protests, his image is held high beside flags and slogans. Some say he has become a Pan-African icon, though it's still early in his rule. But one thing is certain. He has inspired the imagination of a generation that had all but lost faith in politics. To them, he embodies hope, not just for Burkina Faso, but for what Africa would be like if it dares to believe in itself. And in a world where hope is in short supply, that makes him a force to be reckoned with. The only question now is, can Traoré convert passion into policy? Can he create institutions as robust as his orations? Can he bring jobs, security, schooling, and respect? These are the tests that lie ahead. But even if his administration falters, the flame that he has ignited in the young is already alight. He has reminded them that they are not weak, that they are not forgotten, that they do not need to ask permission to rise. And maybe most significantly, he has reminded them that the future of Africa is not abroad. It is here, it is now, and it is them. Captain Ibrahim Traoré is not only winning over young people in Africa, he is waking them up. And that might be the most revolutionary thing of all.